Hello, all, and welcome to Are You Hooked, where we discuss how a TV show captivates an audience. My name is Jennifer Hahn.
And I'm Sarah Callan.
And we are fascinated by what draws people into a story. And we want to understand the pieces that get us hooked on a TV show. In this episode, we are going to be discussing the closing scene of the Comic Shop's pilot episode. So, spoiler alert for the scene, spoiler alert for the episode. Go watch it. It's 15 minutes long. It's available on YouTube. We are really fans of the show so far. So, go watch that and then come back and listen to the rest of our conversation. And Sarah, do you want to give a short description of this ending scene of the Comic Shop?
Yes, in this ending scene, they are wrapping up their free comic book day. They made enough sales for the rent, and then they just close out the day.
All right. So, Sarah, does this ending scene of the Comic Shop's pilot episode make you want to watch the next episode?
Yes, this ending scene definitely makes me want to keep watching, and I have kept watching. I'm hooked. I think for me the biggest thing is just these characters. They are just a group of lovable weirdos, and that is just the type of show that I love because I am also a weirdo. So it's just one of those, like, I just want to keep hanging out with this crew. They have so much fun together. Their personalities are so distinct and unique, and the way that they just like banter and bounce off of each other is just so fascinating. And I can't wait to see what other hijinks they get into together. So yeah, based on this ending scene, I was ready to watch the next episode. I was really sad that I had to wait a whole week. But yeah, it was I was ready to hit that play button. But yeah, what about you? Based on this ending scene, are you hooked?
Yes, I think what's notable about this ending scene is that there is a sense of catharsis, right? Like, we have made this month's rent, but there's also the looming future of, oh my God, but there's next month's rent and the following month's rent and the following month's rent. And so it's this weird combination of a moment of victory. So it's satisfying for me as a viewer because we know the stakes and we've spent the last trajectory of this episode storyline getting to this moment of like, we did it. But the realities of the future also feel like they're just as present, which I think that this ending scene really nailed that like duality of that feeling that the characters have and that we have. So I found myself feeling the excitement and the joy, but then also feeling like, it's not over yet. And this crew has more to do. And I feel like that was really notable to me of why I wanted to watch more is feeling so invested in this team and their mission and all the things that they care about and wanting to see like what other challenges they're going to face. How are they going to come together again? What does making next month's rent look like? And how will they be creative and scrappy to accomplish that together? And so that felt like really great, like forward propelling momentum where I felt satisfied, but also was looking to the future already with this team too. I think sometimes a first pilot episode of a season feels interesting, but there's not that drive, that momentum, that like hunger for more. You're like, well, it was a good story, but I don't know if I need to keep watching. And I felt that hunger for more because I was invested in this team and knowing that there's more to do together with this team is kind of the feeling that I was left with at the end of the episode, which made me want to see what are they going to get up to next.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't wait to see like what other obstacles they're going to encounter and like creatively find a way to overcome. But I think that's why it's so interesting to do a comedy or like a sitcom in one of these hooked episodes, because I feel like with a dramatic show, sometimes you can be more focused on like the premise or the problem that's kind of overarching the season. Whereas I feel like with a comedy, with a sitcom, you really have to be bought into these characters. And if you're not bought into the characters, the central group that you're following, then you're not going to want to keep watching. Like the reason we all love Friends is because we love the friends, like,
Yeah.
and I feel like the comic shop does a really good job of showcasing who these characters are and how they interact with each other, and you just want to keep spending time with them, so then you want to
Mm.
keep watching. So I think it's a really effective use of a pilot to get us invested in who they are, and once you're invested in who they are, then you're just like, well, I have to watch the next one.
Yeah. No, it's so interesting that the things we might look for, like you mentioned, between these different genre types within TV shows might be so different. Uh, One thing that I think is also really notable in this episode is just seeing the camaraderie of this team come together. And that's something that every sitcom needs to land somehow. It's like everyone needs to be so different from each other, and yet there's a shared feeling of togetherness that makes us just get the warm and fuzzies when we see them trying to figure things out together, seeing all of their like moments and personalities and quirks colliding with each other, and yet the togetherness always triumphs somehow. And we're probably going to see them fight with each other and get on each other's nerves, but that's humans, that's people, and it's them coming together and learning how to work together that feels really satisfying to watch. And I feel like we got that over the course of the entire episode leading up to this ending scene too, of seeing all their personality clashes and the weird things that they all do because they're all weirdos, and yet they did this together and they had that moment to celebrate together and be like, we got it, we did it. And I think that's somehow really just that's there's a formula in there that feels so satisfying for us to see humans that are very different triumphing together in their togetherness.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And they're because they are so different, I think that that makes that moment of victory and celebration all the more sweet,
Yeah.
because they all had a different part to play. They all made mistakes along the way, and yet it all worked out somehow. And they all share in that. They all played a part
Yeah.
in making this happen. And I love that moment when they're all like dancing together. It's so fun and lighthearted, and I love that people are still in the store while they're doing that, because they're just so happy and so excited, and like, whatever, this is how we run our shop. And that just seems like
Mhm.
a really cool place to just like go and hang out. And I loved that moment for because it's obviously like the narrative part, like you said, we feel that victory of like, okay, we accomplished something in this episode. But I think it's also such a fun indicator of what the vibe of this comic shop is, and what the vibe of this crew
Mm.
is that's leading it. And it's just so inviting, and you want to keep coming back, you want to visit the comic shop again.
Yeah, yeah, it's so good. Uh, and when we have those moments of triumph, there also needs to be a clear, like, foe, for lack of a better word, or a opposing force, I shall say, in Newton's law of physics. Like we need some equal force that is trying to make this harder inevitably for this team. And I feel like that was also really strongly established at the end of this episode and this ending sequence is we get to see the landlord come in and be like, yo, like, you need to pay your rent. And that is clearly going to be a recurring theme too of this is not going to be the last that we're going to see of him. You also get the other lady who just keeps showing up randomly, and I think it plays for some really great comedic bits, but also what's happening there? Why is she here? There seems to be this like tension or frustration in some way, and so I love that while the episode ends on a high, those forces and dynamics are established, and it's not all like feel good positive stuff. We need those tension moments, or those like what confusion moments that also propel us into like, how are all of these things going to collide together again in new combinations, in new ways, in new contexts, that consistently are revisited, which is very much the formula of a sitcom as well. Those consistent opposing forces, for lack of a better word, that create resistance that our characters have to triumph over again and again. And we get to see that in this ending too, which I think helps contribute to the propelling feeling.
Yeah, and I love the emphasis throughout the episode about like it's hard to own a business. Like and
Yes.
and we know that there's just the pieces of it that
Yeah.
man, it's hard to do, and to own like a brick and mortar
Oh,
store. I can't imagine how difficult it would be to own a comic shop of all
oh
things. Like
yeah. Yeah.
it so we intellectually know like this is a difficult thing that they're doing. And then we see so like that knowledge is kind of just lingering in the back of our minds as they're jumping through all of these hoops just to try and make rent. Like it's such a kind of a crazy idea that they have to make rent, and then all of the hijinks and things that they have to do. So I love that the show trusts us to have that just institutional knowledge of owning a business is hard. There is that part with the landlord, obviously,
Yeah.
in the episode, but I love that we know that as people that this is a hard thing to do, and
Yeah.
then it kind of like grounds everything as they're doing all of these crazy things. It's like, okay, they got to do what they got to do because running a business is hard. Making rent is hard. And so I think knowing that it helps us want to like root for them even more because they are doing this very hard thing that they're passionate about that really doesn't give them the financial or the financial rewards. They're really doing this because they love it, which is another reason for us to want to root for them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they have this like tenacity and this scrappiness that inevitably also love to root for. Like we love a scrappy underdog. We just love to see it. We love to root for it. And I feel like that was really strongly established by the end of this episode and that ending scene they get to celebrate. Like they were creative and thought outside of the box in order to figure out a situation that felt impossible. And I think we also just love to see like the creativity of when our characters are pressed and we're like, they're pressed up against the wall and they have nowhere to go. And we too, as the viewers, are intrigued, like, what are they going to come up with this time to get themselves out of this predicament? And seeing the creative like ideas and their ability to execute on them and all the ways it goes wrong and goes right, I think is also part of the fun of it and also why we feel invested in them too. It's like they care so deeply, they are the underdogs, and they've got this grit and the scrappiness that there's something about that combination. We just love to root for it as people and as viewers, which I think is very much part of this as well. Ah, it's so good.
It is so good. And the other piece that I love is that they have this whole celebration and they're totally like in sync and in unison with each other, like celebrating on the same page. And then once the final customer leaves and they have to do the like cleaning up work,
Oh,
then they do the like not it.
not it.
And I
Oh
love
man.
that. Right. I love that moment because you just see the friendship dynamics between them because they're doing life together, and sometimes that means celebrating and sometimes that means trying to get somebody else to sweep because that is not the
Mhm.
desired job. And so I love that even in this little clip we see so many different facets of their relationship with one another, and it's all just rooted in love and support for each other, even when you're making somebody else sweep.
And that moment is so important because we felt it over the course of the episode. And that moment is a great example of the fact that like these characters know each other too. Like they're not a new crew, a new team coming together. They might have been like newer, more recent, but there is somehow a trust and a camaraderie and a rapport that they've already built because you like do that kind of stuff like with your good friends. You're like, I don't want to do it, you do it. Versus if you're in your polite phase of like, oh, who would like to sweep today? And somebody's like, oh, maybe I'll do it. Like we have not built rapport yet. We have not built the dynamic where we can all just be like, I don't want to do it, sorry. Like and I think that is significant too, is feeling the bonds that have already been formed, even if they're newer, they're not a new crew coming together that needs to build. That's not the trajectory of this, of like this new team coming. This is not the Bear, right? Where like everyone has to figure out their dynamics together. There's a clearly established culture and a team dynamic that we're going to get to see them traverse and go on a journey together. But I think that's also notable too in what is felt throughout the episode. And that's a great moment showcasing that without having to say too much.
Yeah. And we talked about this in our review of the opening, that the really intelligent filmmaking to just drop us into a scene and we will infer what we need to along the way. And this is just another great example of that.
Yep. So good. And then one other last little thing that I'll mention is that I appreciate that even over the course of this episode, we don't actually know these characters deeply yet. And I think that also leads to the feeling of wanting to lean in more. We've gotten bits and pieces of them, but there's still so much more to uncover on their personalities, their quirks, their triggers. And I feel like that's also notable, is we've spent a little bit of time with them with the curiosity about who are these people and why are they here and how do they end up here and what do they want? What do they like? I think there's still so many open questions that this episode leaves us with, while also opening up kind of layer one of how these characters present and exist in the world. So that allows us to lean into, to want to get to know them more.
Yeah, it's that perfect balance of we learn enough to know that we are invested and we are rooting for them and we want to spend time with them, but we don't know too much. So we have so many questions. We have the right amount of questions and the right amount of answers, I think, by the end of this episode, that we are, like you mentioned earlier, we are satisfied where the show has taken us, but we also want more because we want to know the answer to some of these questions. So we just have to keep watching.
Yeah. So good. Well, this was our discussion of the ending scene of the Comic Shop's pilot episode. You can find the Comic Shop available to stream on YouTube. Thank you for listening to this episode of Are You Hooked?, where we discuss how a TV show captivates an audience. You can subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you tune to your favorite shows. Drop us a rating and review, letting us know if you watched the full episode of The Comic Shop and what your thoughts are about it. We are just really excited to have this platform, this opportunity to talk about the show, to be able to support an indie creator that cares about this niche area and kind of showcasing representation in a new way and doing it with so much fun and so much flavor and pizzazz. So go check out and follow the Comic Shop and watch more. You can connect with us on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky at tvnspod, or email us at tvnspod@gmail.com. Check out our website, andusmedia.co, for the latest on TV and Us and our other podcasts, Media and Us. We will be back soon to discuss a new show. There's going to be a new season of TV and Us coming, and let's is a classic. It's been on our list for the longest time, literally years. We're finally doing it, y'all. This one's a classic. This one's real well known. Come back for more. We're doing a full season of this. So in the meantime, we hope you have an amazing week, and we'll talk again with y'all very soon.